everyone, and welcome to another edition of Coast Connections. I'm Elizabeth Heinz, and here today we're talking about the most effective anti-aging program there is. Lifelong learning, whetting your curiosity, learning about new things, trying things, adventuring, exploring. And to help us do that, we've got two experts from Vancouver Island University with us. Regan McKeever, welcome, from the ElderCollege program at VIU.
Thank you.
And Dr. John Black from the Adventures in Mind program from VIU as well.
Hello, Elizabeth.
Welcome to both of you. Thanks for coming out and helping us stay young.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. Regan, how long has ElderCollege been functioning?
So this fall, it'll be 25 years. So we're going to be having a big celebration to mark that milestone.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And how did it get started? What was the thinking behind ElderCollege?
So it was exactly what you said in your introduction, was lifelong learning. Keeping the mind active is a great way of staying young in so many different ways. And so a few people got together and ended up putting on 8 courses for about 75 people who took that 25 years ago in Parksville. Started in Parksville.
Wonderful. And it's grown to, how many programs now are you offering in your lineup?
So we offer now courses in Nanaimo, Parksville, Qualicum, sometimes Ladysmith, up to Deep Bay, and so all around in this area here. And since this fall, we have had over 90 courses with 1,700 course registrations. And it's still climbed, like we'll still get registrations over the next few months.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And I was looking at your catalog the other day, and I was really surprised at the variety that you've got on offer. You can explore anything from fossils to female painters to philosophers to the different various wars, historical things. I mean, there's just something in there for everybody.
Yeah, it's very true, and it's wonderful because we don't actually go out looking for instructors on certain topics. All of our instructors are volunteers, so we wait for them to come to us and say, I have a passion in, like you said, fossils of the area. So they put together a course proposal, and then we end up with this incredible lineup, as you said, with something for everybody.
So what are some of the ones that you have on offer in your current wave of programs?
Well, that's a great question. I don't have them all memorized, but they are in our catalog. So if you see this in the public, please pick one up. So this is our current course calendar that we have for courses that started in January. So those ones will be finishing up shortly. And then we have another session that starts actually at the end of February. So there's still time to register for those courses. We have another session in May. We have some of them that I can think of off the top of my head that we have from plants to azaleas, something like that. That's all about that. We have, I could even look, communist revolutions. We definitely have things like bridge and mahjong, which are very popular as well. A lot of different art courses, like you mentioned, famous female artists. We have some other ones that are about planning your will and safe driving for seniors, things like that. So there's a wide range that could appeal to anybody. Lots of DNA courses and some things about good bugs and bad bugs. It's really interesting.
Bed bugs?
No, viruses.
Viruses,
yeah, and the kind in your body, not computer.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Although there probably is a course for that as well.
We get asked for that a lot. We just have had trouble finding someone that could teach it.
Exactly. Now, these courses, Regan, they're usually, 3 to 5 weeks perhaps in duration, or some more one afternoon perhaps? Is there a variety?
There is a variety. So most of them are 6 weeks long. So that's what it typically has been. And then in the last few years, and particularly this year, we've been branching out a bit more into one-day sessions. So they're about 2 to 3 hours each. And so we've been getting a lot more of those. We especially have interest in those from new instructors that aren't sure if they want to teach for 6 weeks without trying it first. So they'll try a short one first and then hopefully come back the following year with a longer course. And also it's great to get, some people travel a lot in the winter, so signing up for something for 6 weeks can be a bit more challenging. And then we have a session in May, and those are typically about 3 weeks because too many people want to garden and golf.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but it's been hugely popular in May, having the 3-week session.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And what I like about it too, it gets people out of their homes into a different setting, meeting other people, stimulating your curiosity, learning something new. You know, it's dusting off your curiosity, so you know you're just become a more engaged, interested individual. It feeds the soul.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of feedback from our students that say one of the top reasons they come is for the social aspect of it. That exactly that. It's something that gets you out of the house and then around like-minded people. Often people will take courses if they have a passion in that area so that they can share their knowledge as well. Often our instructors are actually just there to facilitate conversation as opposed to regurgitating information.
Right.
So they sort of lay the foundation of, okay, let's talk about this and what do you think about this? Or people will have such incredible background and knowledge about that already, and then there's some great discussion.
Fantastic. Are there exams? Are there finals?
None.
Oh, good.
Yeah, no, so there's no homework, there
Yeah.
are no grades. There's definitely some recommended reading in some of the classes, but none of it is mandatory. And so there's absolutely no stress. It's just for the fun of it.
Wonderful. Now, at ElderCollege, what's your age bar set at?
So the age bar is set at 50 or better is how we coin
50 or improved.
Yes, exactly is how we coin it. And we do have the option of people, if they come with a best friend or a spouse who is 50 or better, then they can attend as well. They just aren't able to be a member. And
Okay,
so,
yes.
and you do need to be a member to take as many courses as you want.
And you can sign up online, and we've got your website on the screen throughout the chat this evening where people can go and register.
You can, and also you can call the phone number as well, and you can also do it in person in Parksville or in Nanaimo.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what does it take to be a member?
$20.
And is that for an annual membership?
It is, it is. So it starts on June 1st of every year and runs till the end of May. And there's some really great benefits for that $20. The biggest one is that you actually get this calendar mailed to you. And so you get it before we put it out in the general public. Some of our courses fill up within hours of the day we open registration.
Wow.
And so being a member means you get first dibs. So you get
Nice.
into those really popular sought after courses. So that's a really big benefit for sure. And then there's also some other great ones that you get one free entrance into Milner Gardens in Qualicum Beach.
Oh, nice.
Which you can go into. You get a discount at the Port Theatre Classical Concert Series. And you get various discounts at other things like the gym and a couple other places on VIU campus. You get access to the library, which is a huge hit for a lot of our students, because they have a lot of different information at our university library than they do at the public library.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like how that ElderCollege is a hub to all these other, places, facilities,
For sure.
points of contact that people can make as well. So
Absolutely.
that's all part of community building, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah,
you get it.
strengthening our community.
It is, and it's really important to do that within our community and be able to understand that VIU has a lot of different areas. You get a discount at the Deep Bay Marine and Field Station as well, which is really an interesting facility, and is VIU's as well. So it's a great way for people to get to know what VIU has to offer.
Wonderful. And, so often anybody, 50, 55, 60 or over are sort of put on the shelf. Like, your best before date has come and gone. But, these folks have a lot of life experience and a lot to offer and a lot to give back. And I think it's wonderful that here's an avenue. They can sign up, they can become an instructor or a teacher of various topics. So I'm sure there's a lot of people out there watching this interview who might have an idea of a course that they'd like to offer.
That would be wonderful.
And you're always looking for new ideas?
Always. And so we welcome that and would love that. We have a course proposal form on our website. So you just need to fill that out and send it in to myself. And then there's a whole group of volunteers that will look through the proposals and get in contact with you to talk more about what is involved in teaching for ElderCollege. And then we go from there. And we would love to see more courses, more teachers, more ideas.
Nice. So there's a
Yeah.
shout out right there.
Absolutely.
Bring it on.
For sure. Yes.
And the Saturday Speakers Program, that's also something that ElderCollege puts on. Let's chat a little bit about that.
It is. So this is a great series of, again, one day. So it's on a Saturday, which also means that kids that are in school, university students, people who are working full-time are able to attend. So it is for the whole community. And we offer 3 every semester, if you think of it academically. So 3 in the fall and 3 in the spring. And we're holding them all now at Nanaimo's Place because we ended up outgrowing all the facilities at VIU in Nanaimo and Parksville.
I like it.
Same here.
Wow.
So it's been really great, and it's free parking, and it's flat and excellent accessibility, and it can hold a lot of people, which is excellent because in the fall, we had a series of Achieving Global Sustainability, and we had over 170 people come to each one of the 3 topics that we had, so we really needed the bigger facility.
Yes.
Yeah, which is really
Now,
great.
do you need to sign up for Saturday speakers or just show up?
No, that's a great question. You can't sign up ahead of time, so you actually do just show up, and it's cash at the door, and it's $10 for the general public, and then $5 for university students or high school students, and it's free if you're under 18.
Very good.
Yeah.
So even if I'm 50 plus, I can still bring a younger person with me to attend.
Absolutely.
Nice.
And you don't need to have a membership, an ElderCollege membership to attend, because we are more sponsoring these for the community at large.
Right.
Yeah, and then when you're there, we give a little talk about what ElderCollege is, and hopefully pique some more interest in people that are there.
I attended one about Cougar Annie, I think it was last year. Yeah. Fascinating.
Wasn't that
yes.
great? Yeah, we ended up actually offering that twice because it was so popular and had so many people that wanted to hear it that didn't get to hear it the first time. So, and we offer a range of things from arts to what's happening in China to we've had so many different ones, lots of history about the RCMP and the First World War literature. It's been great. It's a really big range.
I love it.
Yeah, and we have a really interesting lineup coming up in the spring, actually very soon. The first one's on March 24th. And so the first one we have is going to be by Louise Mandel will be offering it, and she's the Chancellor of VIU.
Oh, okay.
And her talk is entitled, "We Will Help Each Other Be Great and Good." And she's going to be talking about the strength and hope that Indigenous traditions bring today, and talking about that.
Very topical.
It is, for sure. So it'll be really interesting, I think, and bring a large crowd to that for sure.
Very nice.
And then on April 7th, we're having one called Earthquakes Past, Present, and Future. Also very topical. Very topical, and he's going to be focusing on all of that in our region. So how to prepare, what's happened in the past, and what's potentially coming in the future.
Very
so
good.
Also great, and that'll be by Dr. Stephen Earle. And then the next one is April 21st, and that'll be Pressing Problems of 21st Century Technologies, which will be robots, VR, and artificial intelligence. So then that's by Dr. Richard Smith, and he will be talking about how to prepare for this upcoming technology and while trying to reduce the harmful effects, potential harmful effects.
Fantastic.
Ah.
Pressing problems of the 21st century.
Absolutely.
You can actually have a robot do your ironing.
Right? Wouldn't that be great?
Exactly.
Yes.
That's fantastic, Regan.
Yeah.
Lots of really interesting topics coming up. And in your 25th anniversary year here with ElderCollege.
Yeah, it'll be great.
It's wonderful. I just love how it strengthens the community, gets people out. We all should learn something new every day, right?
Absolutely.
Exercise the brain, the curiosity, the mind, and the body, because this covers it all.
It does. And the big thing too that when you were saying you can be a student or be a teacher, an instructor of it, we also have a ton of volunteers.
Yes.
And so you can get involved that way as well, even if you're not taking courses. And so we have a board of directors of about 8 people right now, and they put in so much time and energy putting together this fabulous program.
So that's all volunteer driven.
It is. So all of our instructors are volunteers. The board is volunteers. We have volunteers that hand out our course calendars all over town. We have people that help check you in when you're coming to the Saturday speakers. We have volunteers that make coffee for the Saturday speakers.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. We have over 80 volunteers, active volunteers right now.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's really a fantastic way to get involved.
That really is.
Yeah.
That's
And
fantastic.
it wouldn't work without them.
No,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Again, the strength of the community,
Absolutely.
right? Reflected in the program.
Yeah.
Fantastic. John, we haven't forgotten about you. You're going to take us on some adventures in mind.
Indeed, yes.
Now, that's, adventures that you take people abroad to do some studying? And
Yes, yeah,
tell us a little bit about the concept of it.
With one qualification, Adventures in Mind is ElderCollege on the hoof. So,
I like that.
and the qualification is it's not restricted to 50-year age limit threshold. Any adult can take part in it. But as it happens, most of the people who take part do satisfy that criterion of age as well. So it's a new program. We only have run one trip, or one adventure as we call them, so far, and that was last May in Florence, Italy. And the next one that's proposed is in Prague in the Czech Republic, or Czechia as it's now officially called.
Right.
And that will take place next September. So yeah.
And although this is your second trip with Adventures in Mind, you have done a lot of other trips in your past life with VIU.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I retired last June from VIU, but in 1997 I started with a couple of colleagues a program called Liberal Studies Abroad. So I taught in the Liberal Studies department in that BA degree, and since then every year we've had at least one trip to a European country for credit students. So I think I counted up that I've been on 16 of those trips in the 20 years.
Wow.
12 of them to Florence in Italy, 1 to the Czech Republic before, and 3 to England. And in all of those trips, although most of the participants were credit students, and it would typically be 35 students a year going, but always we would have half a dozen or so people who were not interested in the credit and were just sort of participating in a non-credit way. So that partly set the stage for, well, it told us that there was an interest outside of credit university studies for this kind of travel, educational travel. And 2 of the programs that I did during that 20 years, 1 to England and 1 to Prague, were exclusively non-credit, or just for, and it's that element that we've now taken over into Adventures in Mind, giving it a slightly different title and operating independently of the continuing program in liberal studies, which is still going with different people involved.
So, John, how did you come to choose Prague for this particular destination this year?
Well, Prague is such a very special city, and what's distinctive about it really is that, first of all, it's very well preserved historically, and it contains all sorts of cross currents of cultural history in its architecture, in the art, in the music that's representative of Prague, and it's a place where you can see, the influence of the Slavic peoples, of the Germanic peoples, of Italian. There's an Italian influence in the music and so on.
A real cultural crossroads there,
or watershed, whatever you want to call it. And not only that, but it's all currently preserved. So if you look at buildings, for example, which is one of the focuses we'll do, looking at history of architecture, you can see examples still currently operating, currently used as buildings of every period of architectural history since around the year 1100.
That's very unusual, isn't it, to have all that in such close proximity in one city?
And especially because a lot of the major cities in Europe who had that kind of structure or fabric it was destroyed or bombed out in the Second World War, but not in the case of Prague. It was almost left intact. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Now, John, how many people can you take on the Prague trip?
Well, we've set the limit at 15. We like to keep the group of a manageable size in terms of interaction. We don't want large groups that where one person may not know somebody else on the group. The whole idea, and again, a lot of the things that Regan was saying before about ElderCollege apply. Education is a social activity, and people join that group in order to share their ideas and their responses to what they encounter overseas. And also hear from a couple of academics on the subjects as well. But and therefore we want a group that can form a coherent whole. And we certainly had that in Italy last year. Our group was a bit smaller, 9 people went, apart from myself and my spouse, who are the 2 group leaders. And so the 11 of us was just perfect size for sharing ideas and not only ideas but dinners and gelato and so on and so on, and wine, of course, and many friendships flourished in that, out of that group, and those people are still seeing each other in 2s and 3s and 4s and 5s as the months go by.
Fantastic. Now, this trip that you're planning is going to be happening in early September?
Yes.
What are the dates and the duration?
Roughly September 5th to 25th. So people would have to leave on the 4th because it's an overnight flight, but they come back on the 25th. So it's almost 3 weeks. And in that time we'll be living in Prague in apartments.
So one stop, unpack once,
exactly,
and make that place your base.
There will be day trips to other places.
Nice.
Possibly one overnight in a hotel in another town.
Yeah. It's nice to be able to have one camp and not have to go up and down stairs schlepping suitcases and hailing taxis. And
some people use that phrase, educational tour. This is not a tour because we stay in one place. So we're not wasting valuable educational time on a bus or on a train or in an aeroplane or something like that once the program starts. It's just you're constantly encountering the things that you want to see being there. So, and then you get to know the place. So there will be a favorite cafe perhaps close to where your apartment is that you can drop in the morning, or favorite bakery, picking up your breakfast, and then people will get to know you. You'll become a regular customer. Even in 3 weeks, that kind of thing is possible.
Now, this is based on, is it double occupancy in the apartments, or is there an option to have?
We can arrange, at a slightly greater cost, we can arrange more private accommodation, but the sort of basic kind is double occupancy,
So this could appeal to a single person who wants to travel, maybe wants to bunk up with somebody else or have their own place.
Yes, absolutely.
It's pretty flexible.
Last year we had, in Italy, we had 2 couples and 5 singles,
Yeah, good. And John, what are some of the highlights that you're going to be sharing with people there? I understand that Prague is also the home of Mozart and some other famous composers
indeed.
and writers.
It's the town in which the city, I suppose, in which he wrote his opera Don Giovanni, probably the most well-known of his serious operas. And that opera is still performed fairly regularly from time to time in the original theatre. So that's an option we can go and see. We can also visit the house in which he wrote it, which is preserved as a museum, a very charming little house with a nice garden around it, like a bust of Mozart, of course, on a plinth outside. And you can go and see manuscripts and instruments that a piano that he played while he was doing that composing.
Wonderful.
So it's that kind of thing. It's touching history with your hand and just seeing it come alive in front of you.
Beautiful. So it's an architectural tour, it's a musical tour, it's I think there's also some authors that you're going to be.
There will be some literature as well. Kafka is a famous 20th century author, certainly from Prague, who wrote in German. So we'll read a short story by him, I would think, and talk about it and try to understand what he was saying about the society in which he lived in Prague. Also, a playwright, Karel Čapek, wrote some very interesting, some people would call them absurdist plays, but early in the 20th century. And we'll probably do a group play reading of, it's my idea. The group may object, but if provided the group is willing, we'll do a reading of one of his plays, called the Insect Play, in which all the characters are butterflies or ants or wasps or some kind of insect. It's kind of an allegory of the society contemporary to his writing.
I think after a couple of glasses of lovely wine, there won't be any problem getting them to be involved in your play.
I think that's right.
Exactly. And some day trips outside of Prague as well, you're planning?
Yeah, we'll go into southern Bohemia and specifically a place called Český Krumlov, which it's quite a pleasant, it's a very small town, very pleasant, quite well known from the point of view of tourism. But the main attraction there, apart from just the general beauty of the town, is a Baroque castle and theatre. We'll do a guided tour of that. So there's a theatre which is still operational. It's not used very often, but it's still 17th century was when to 18th century was when it was built and developed, and all the scenery apparatus still works. The thunder machine is still available and that kind of thing. So we can do a tour of that theatre, and the castle which houses it as well, which is set in some fantastic grounds with lakes and small woods and that kind of thing. Very, very pleasant place. Yeah.
I like the balance that you're striking with this type of tour, because there's some independent days that you have as well, where on your own you can go do some exploring, team up with someone you've met on the trip, and go see a few things, and also just coming together at the end of the day and talking about what you've seen. Over a pint in a local pub or over a nice dinner together. It sounds really nice, and a really good way to, a safe way to travel as well if you're a little bit reluctant to go to some of these places on your own. This is a very nice way to package it.
And partly from the point of view of safety, but also of great engagement and satisfaction with the program is we always have people resident in the location who are working with us. So in this case, we have a young by my standards, not so young by Regan standards, academic couple. So they used to teach at Simon Fraser over in Burnaby for a little bit, and now they're teaching at a university in Prague. Peter and Adela McKeever, they're born and raised in Prague itself. They're related, or Peter, I should use his Czech pronunciation, is related to Alphonse Mucha, the Art Nouveau artist and printmaker, painter and printmaker, who's one of the most famous people we'll find out about in Prague. So they will be sharing their academic backgrounds, which are, in the case of Peter, it's the history of religion, sort of an element of understanding, important element to understanding Czech history. And Adela is actually an expert in English literature, but she'll be talking about Kafka and some Czech authors as well.
Well, you totally have me intrigued. This sounds like a fantastic way to experience Prague, one of the real cultural gems of Central Europe. It sounds really exciting, John. And if people want more information, we've got your website up there. There's a very simple application process. And you can talk about fees and that type of thing. That's all on the website as well.
Yes, and Regan is also involved in that as well. As, we work together on that program, and she's the go-to person for inquiries at the early stage.
Very
and
good.
I get involved if people want to know more about the specific experience.
Thank you so much, both of you, for joining us today. This has been fantastic. We've got Saturday speakers, ElderCollege courses by the dozen happening here on the island. We've got trips abroad, and all this to feed curiosity and feed our souls. So thank you for what you're bringing to our community.
You're most welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us on Coast Connections, and we'll see you next time.